Welcome to the Maine Money Show. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Jordan Maine, President of Maine Financial Group, and Adam Freund, CRC of Maine Financial Group. To our viewers at home, a very important show today. Obviously, a lot of the viewers in the Michigan area, you are asking yourselves this question. Can I retire? When you think about it, you've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, but how do you really know if you're ready? And are you dreaming about retirement? That's a very important question. Jordan, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Cynthia?
Doing wonderful, thank you. Adam, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good. That's better than pretty bad.
That's correct.
Well, I have to ask you a question. Do either one of you dream about retirement?
Oh, yes. I dream all the time about owning a yacht and a private island. And you know why?
No.
Facebook told me to.
Well, then it must be true.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I talked to Robin, his wife, and he's not retiring. She's going to retire. He's going to be working with us for a long time.
There you go. Hey, I want to hijack this for one quick second.
Okay.
I just want to congratulate Jordan here. He has been featured on the Wealth Council.
Yes.
Which is going to be on Fox Business, or is on Fox Business Channel. And it's a big, big honor, and we are very, very excited and happy for that. It's a national show, and I think it's on actually twice a week on Fox, something like that. But check your local listings.
Thank you
as
for
they
that.
say.
It's amazing. I can't wait to see it because it is a huge honor. You're up there on a panel of just the top advisors from across the country. Talk about a mastermind group. It really is amazing. So it is a huge honor, Jordan.
Absolutely. It was a great experience, and hopefully get invited back again.
You will be. I am confident of that. So the million-dollar question is, people want to know, how do they really financially know that they're ready to retire?
Yeah, I think it comes down to developing a paycheck versus a playcheck, right? So everyone says, do I have enough money to retire? Do I have X or Y or Z? And it comes down to your own income need, but how much income can you actually guarantee? So there's a difference from an income plan to an income guess. And I think it starts with creating different blocks of income, pensions, Social Security, those type of things.
Yeah, and obviously everybody out in the audience is different, right? I mean, it also depends on what your expenses are. How much do you need to live on? And when Jordan was talking about paychecks versus paychecks is really the key. You need to have enough money so that you know that the bills are being paid for and that you're not going to sleep at night with one eye open kind of going, geez, how am I going to afford to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, whatever it is. So it's really, really important to have a plan in place.
It reminds me of that commercial, I don't know, it was years ago where people were walking around with a number. Remember that?
Yes.
They were carrying it around and you wondered, like, how did they get to that number? How do you help assess? So you asked some very specific questions about your dreams, your wants, your goals, most importantly, your needs, making sure your needs are met. I love that you do that.
Yeah, we start with you start with the end in mind, right? So the end in mind is, well, how much do you need to retire, right? What is the bottom line in terms of like all those bills I talked about?
Yes.
And do you want to take, most people when they retire, they don't want to retire poorly. They want to retire in a manner of which they become accustomed. My father, the Shermanator, always used to say, you guys can do anything, I'll pay for anything as long as you support your mother and I in retirement in a manner of which we've become accustomed.
I love it.
And that, of course, you know, he was joking, but it is important that people out there, that's what they want. They want to retire in a manner of which they become accustomed.
Of course.
So how do we plan for that? And that's the real big question.
Well, wait a minute. You got an easy road there. The Shermanator is 85 years old and still a real estate tycoon. So
86 now.
86. So you don't have to report or support him at all.
Yes, we are Detroit slumlords. No, we're not.
And an avid golfer. We should talk about that for a moment because he's amazing.
He still is going golfing about every Saturday. Fridays he will walk the course periodically. I think now he's kind of relegated to the cart, but yes, it's very impressive. I only hope that you and I, when we're that age, are able to do that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You will be. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the mistakes that people can make financially when they're thinking about retiring. What are some of the mistakes that you've seen?
Well, I think the biggest fear of people in retirement in this generation is what? What if I screw up and live too long? What if I outlive my money?
Yeah.
And that is a fear that is real with everyone. And I think people have to start with evaluating their risk level, their comfort level of risk. We call it in our world risk tolerance. So,
Yes.
And then number two, they have to make sure their portfolio is aligned with that risk. So many times we see people that come into our office and say, I'm a conservative investor, I'm a 3 out of 10. And we evaluate their portfolio, and it's a 6 or 7 out of 10. So when we
Or
have
even higher.
when we have times like we've had the last few months in the market of volatility, it changes people's plans. So I think evaluating risk and making sure that your portfolio aligns with your risk, and your risk is nothing that any of us could tell you. It's what you're comfortable with, Cynthia.
Yeah, and just a little hop on that. We were talking about paychecks versus playchecks. Well, those playchecks is really where you can afford to take a little bit of risk in your retirement. Those are things that are set off that, a momentary blip of something going on wrong in the market isn't going to derail your entire retirement. Okay, so I can't take the fancy cruise this year. I'll have to just go down to Florida. But next year, when the market is way up, I can take not only a fancy cruise, upgrade my room or something to that effect.
Right, and I think that goes along with risk. But close second in mistakes is a lack of a tax plan in retirement. Taxes are a silent killer. All of those retirement accounts have a silent partner. Who is the partner?
That would be my Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, right. So we spend a lot of time on the tax side of it as well. As a certified tax accountant, it is close to my heart. How do we minimize or avoid some of those taxes?
And that is a great point that you just made, Jordan, because is that something that people commonly fail to plan for, taxes in retirement?
I would say definitely over 90% of everyone that comes in, new potential clients for us, don't have any type of tax strategy whatsoever. And we think it's one of the most important things. Right after income should be your tax plan.
Yeah, and it's really important. We actually have a website set up if somebody wants to go to it and see what their taxable, what happens if they keep it as a taxable IRA or if they convert it to a Roth. What is that website?
Oh, MaineTaxBuild.com. Absolutely. It's a great, easy-to-use tool to help people Rothify their retirement to try to get to a tax-free status. So it's a nice little tool.
And when they visit that website, Adam, what can they expect to find? What do they put in? What type of information?
Yeah, I think they only put in, I think it's 4 or 5 different items. It's very simple. It's nothing very complicated. And you actually can choose what do you think the future tax rates are going to be? Do you think it's going to be less? You can choose how much are my investments going to gain while I'm in retirement. So there's a lot of play in it. And contrary to popular belief, you can actually redo the test over and over again and change the environment. So you can actually see what will happen over time to that money. And for goodness sakes, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, but don't give it to your kids, for goodness sakes, not in an IRA format.
That would be a tax bomb, absolutely. We made that tool very user-friendly, so even people like Adam can operate that tool.
Well, I should ask you one other question before we take a commercial break. How much guaranteed income should a retiree be aiming for, and what are the best ways to create it?
Yeah, so again, that's a subjective question. That is the paycheck portion that we're talking about. And what most people don't understand is Social Security really only accounts for maybe 30, at the most 40% of their overall paycheck. So therefore, you've got to have other tools in place. You can't eliminate any tool that's out there. You've got to be able to look at everything that's on the table in order for you to create some sort of income stream. I wish we had people nowadays with pensions, but we're seeing that become less and less, and that's going away like the pterodactyl. It is a dinosaur.
And I think that expanding that, so there are different buckets of things that can create income for you, right? So the first, as Adam's talking about, is lifetime income, like Social Security and pension and some forms of annuities, where it doesn't matter how long you live, you're going to get a paycheck, right? And there's other guarantees that have a timeline. A bond has a dedicated timeline, a CD, even some of the Treasury stuff. So those you can take some income or interest from, but they have a definite timeline. And then the last bucket are the maybe income, maybe dividends from a stock. maybe a growth in capital appreciation you want to carve off. So those are all different kind of buckets that you can generate income, some forever, some for a little, and some is maybe. So
Okay.
the answer is a little bit of both.
Okay, excellent. Well, Jordan, you and Adam have a very special offer to present to our viewers at home today. Talk about what that is.
Yeah, so it's the Maine Money Report. This is a personalized written plan, and we use this cool little acronym. What is it called? RIPT. That's right. Let's get your retirement RIPT. RIPT. So the first part of it is evaluating your risk and your portfolio's risk. Make sure they're aligned. The second part, the I, is looking at an income plan. What do you think your portfolio can generate now? We'll show you, being efficient, the most income you can generate, and those numbers may be two different things. The P is a portfolio analysis. We use Morningstar to independent group to evaluate your historical returns, your fees, all that jazz. And then the last one, the T, is tax, Cynthia, which we've talked a lot about in this
Yes.
section. Do you have a plan to mitigate taxes in retirement?
So are you ripped?
Perfect, Adam. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
Silence.
To the viewers at home, it's time for you to get ripped. All you have to do is call in today, 888-462-7839, 888-462-7839. We know that the viewers in the Michigan area, they're asking themselves, am I ready to retire? How do I know? If you're searching for the answers, don't miss the opportunity to gather your very own customized Maine Money Report. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more when we return on the Maine Money Show. Stay tuned.
I was an accountant by trade out of school, out of Michigan State, and I absolutely hated brokers, financial advisors, whatever they wanted to call themselves. I was a tax accountant, and we would share a mutual client. And this broker would advise our mutual client to buy, sell, and never do any tax strategy, and I was left to clean up the mess. So I went to the client and said, please talk to your broker and tell him to knock this off or begin to do some strategy. And the typical broker response was, I'm not licensed to do that. I can't talk about taxes. So I basically decided to get my investment securities license and all my other licenses out of spite so that we could do all the tax planning as part of the investment strategy for our clients. The value of choice, as we always say, if you go to a big box firm, they're going to have one of 6 portfolios, let's say, and you're going to fit into one of those. The value of working with an independent advisor, especially a fiduciary like we are, is that they have to do what's in your best interest, and they can use any program that's licensed out there in America, so a huge difference. After 20 plus years on this side of the fence, I think our industry does a poor job at explaining to the public the difference of those two. I come from a culture of helping people and educating them, not just telling them what to do. So I think people that truly want to educate make a big difference in this industry.
Welcome back to the Maine Money Show, where Wall Street meets Main Street. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Jordan Main and Adam Freund of Maine Financial Group, and we're talking about the million-dollar question, are you really ready for retirement? How do you know? So, Adam, I want to guide this next question to you, if you don't mind. I'm putting you right in the hot seat, because a lot of people ask this question. What is the right age to start collecting Social Security?
Wow, that is a great question. The truth of the matter is that Social Security, you can start as early as 62, and you can go as late as age 70. Beyond that, there's no advantage of not collecting. Everybody who's born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is age 67. In those born in the 50s, it's 66 and so many months. But the real question is, where is Social Security going to be in 10 years from now? And we already know that the Social Security Administration has come out and said that they're going to reduce reduce Social Security by 17 or 18% across the board. Doesn't matter if you've been on it for 2 months or 20 years. In 2035, if Congress or somebody doesn't do something to fix what is going on. So having said that, we've actually been starting to reevaluate, and as long as you are not working, and that's the very big key, we've actually been telling people to take it earlier rather than later, figuring that they might need to start getting it now. The other thing to take in consideration is what's your longevity? You know, if you can tell me exact date.
Well, I was going to say that your genetics and your current health come to play in that.
Sure.
Your
Makes
financial
sense.
situation comes into play in that decision of when to turn on Social Security. And most people, your marital status is important. Most people will synchronize benefits with their spouse to maximize for the household. In my situation, my wife Emily is 7 years younger, and everyone in her family lives to be 100.
Okay,
We've
wow.
never had a Maine male make 70. So for us in our strategy, I'm not going to maximize or synchronize together. I'm going to maximize survivor benefits for Emily. Hopefully we can buck that trend. But so there are so many things that go into Social Security, and I think we pointed out 6 or 7 right now. But everyone, you can't say, well, boy, the person at work told me I should do this, or my sister said I should do that. Every situation is unique and needs a plan.
But 70?
Absolutely.
Nobody made it past. You're only 2 years away from that.
You're so funny. Next.
The two of you. So, Jordan, another question I have about taxes is how can someone reduce their taxes in retirement and keep more of their savings? Are there any strategies that you can put into place?
Yeah, and I know we talked a little bit about it in the previous segment, but the first and the most glaring or the most exciting is the Roth IRA conversion, right? So that started in 2010, where anyone was able to take dollars from an IRA pre-tax, pay tax on that event, and move it into a tax-free bucket. It's very difficult for people that don't know about taxes to do it. We've created that tool that we've talked about in the last segment, maintaxbill.com. Very easy to use. I think every single person should consider a Roth IRA or a portion of their assets into a Roth IRA. Okay. Why don't other advisors and brokers talk about it? Well, a few reasons. Number one, what is that famous line when you go talk to an advisor or broker about tax planning?
Oh, don't talk to me about tax planning. Go talk to your CPA.
Right. You go to your accountant and you talk to them, and what do they say?
Oh.
I'm too busy doing returns. I don't have plan to forward think. So a lot of advisors don't even understand the tax code that they can do that. Obviously, as a certified tax accountant, we can do that. But the other reason the big firms don't do it that are all money managers, and a friend of mine, Tom Mosley, a great advisor in California, told me this. He said that if you can advise clients to convert dollars from an IRA to a Roth IRA, just let's use an example. Let's say you have $100 million in your business as an advisor, and you recommend to convert those dollars and pay tax, what do you have left? Maybe 70 or 80 left. Yep. So it's a direct pay hit to the advisors on the other side of that. So there's a lot of reasons that the public isn't really informed about Roth IRAs, but I think it's one of the best tax changes ever in 2010, and everyone should explore it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Somebody who makes their decision on that, are they truly a fiduciary?
Well, that's exactly right. Being a fiduciary, as both Adam and I are, we have to do what's in the best interest of our clients.
Absolutely.
We can held accountable, liable individually for that. Right. So I think that's the number one tax mistake we see is that people aren't exploring converting to Roth IRAs.
All right, Jordan. Thank you so much. Adam, I have a question for you. How many people assume their expenses will go down in retirement, and why is that not always true?
Well, I think we also touched on that. People want to retire in a manner of which they become accustomed. If that means they're taking 2 vacations a year, or let's say they retire and their kids don't have grandchildren yet. Now all of a sudden they have grandchildren. There's a lot of things that come at people, and it is true. We do know, generally speaking, that almost every category of expenses tends to go down in retirement, except for one. What is it?
Entertainment, travel.
Nope. Healthcare.
Oh,
healthcare is the one category that always goes.
Well, I look at my situation. There's no way that I can tell my wife, Emily, don't be mad at me, that when we retire that we're going to spend less. She's going to want to do our bucket list. She's going to want to travel all over and do things. So I think today's world is a lot different than Grandpa Ed that worked for Ford or Fords with an S.
Right.
You work till 62, you retire, and then you're passed away by the time you're 70. From the Depression
and what's
era.
those first 10 years called?
Oh, the honeymoon years, right?
The honeymoon, go-go years.
We say it's in thirds. The first third is the go-go. You're excited. You're still healthy. You do a lot of things. There you go. Look at that. The second year is the slow go. You're not getting out as many planes. You're enjoying grandkids a little more. And the last third, we say no-go. A lot of doctor's appointments. So I think that you're going to spend, well, at least me, we're going to spend more in that first third of our retirement.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Jordan and Adam, we're going to take a very short commercial break. But Adam, very special message you would like to give the viewers at home before we do so?
You need to get ripped. Ripped. Tell them, Jordan.
Absolutely. Yeah. Come in for a two-part meeting to go over a personal plan for you that we've talked about before. Yep. Talk about aligning your risk. Talk about making sure you have a maximized income plan. Making sure your portfolio is healthy. Make sure that portfolio is healthy. And lastly, and most important, stick to that tax plan. Let's make sure we can minimize the most we can.
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. To the viewers at home, it is time to get ripped. Call in 888-462-7839, 888-462-7839. If you're asking yourself the question, am I really ready to retire? You deserve to know the answer. Call in today for your customized plan. We're going to take a very short commercial break to save time, but don't go anywhere. I have so much more with Jordan and Adam when we return.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to the Maine Money Show, where Wall Street meets Main Street. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Jordan Main and Adam Freund of Maine Financial Group, and we're asking the big question, how do you know if you're really ready to retire? So, Jordan, I think a question on everyone's mind right now is how do they ensure their retirement plan is protected against market downturns? Because, wow, isn't it a roller coaster when you look at it?
Wow, just look at the last few months
Yes.
of up and downs and tariffs and new type of things that are coming in. And it's so imperative to have your uncle point. What is that, Adam, when we do this? We squeeze. So what is the most amount that you want to potentially lose and that's the risk evaluation. And there are all kinds of great ways to kind of hedge your downside. There are products out there like fixed index annuities, which are wonderful. We can get safety in some bond markets and things. But I think it's imperative for people to truly understand what is their exposure versus what they're trying to get.
Okay. Yeah, does it line up to, as you said, their uncle point? How fast is their portfolio driving versus what they really can tolerate? And making sure that the stuff that they can tolerate is not going to be fluctuating downwards when the market loses, like we've been seeing, for the past 6 months even.
Right, and I think it's also to have some other assets that aren't directly correlated to the stock market, right? So like traditionally when the market goes down, gold goes up, right? And there are other things too. So I think having a diverse portfolio that fits your individual risk need or your risk tolerance is so key. It isn't what any advisor should tell you, it's what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Adam, you just actually tapped on this just a little bit, but healthcare costs can be one of the biggest expenses in retirement. How should people plan for them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we have this great thing called Medicare that is in place. In fact, it's a service now that our office is starting to provide because guess what? All of our clients are all starting to hit that age, and we want to make sure that they're taking a look at it. Now, what's really important out there regarding healthcare and regarding Medicare is that you should not have this on an automatic set every year. You just keep re-upping. You need to have that evaluated every single year because things change, as we know. The other area that a lot of people don't even think about or plan about until it's too late is long-term care. And unfortunately, a lot of the baby boomers that are on the older baby boomers or the silent generation are at that point where long-term care would have been a perfect vehicle for them, and they're not in that situation now. When you need long-term care is usually too late.
Yeah, and I think the third part are the people that retire before 65. What do you do for health care, Adam?
Yeah.
Have you priced out a 60 or 61 or 62-year-old family? It's significant, and that's a big mistake that people don't plan for. Also, how do you pay your premiums for Medicare, your supplement plan and things? Well, it's based on your income, right? Is it it's a 2-year or
2-year look back.
So if you are triggering unnecessary tax, which is income, it could affect your Medicare cost.
Wow.
So all of that needs to be put into one plan, working together.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Let's talk a little bit about beyond money. What are some non-financial aspects of being truly prepared to retire, gentlemen? Non-financial.
We have heard a lot of situations where people want to go into retirement and within 6 months they're bored, completely
Yes.
bored, and they end up going back to work or doing something that is different than what they did before. And when we get to the Social Security question, that comes into factor too, because if you're taking Social Security early, you retired early, you're taking Social Security early, and then suddenly you want to go back to work, there's a limit as to how much you can be paid. So, and I don't think we do allow under the table payments here. So that's something to in consideration. The other aspect of that is that we found that people actually are busier now in retirement.
Wait a minute. Pickleball.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
well, pickleball.
Yes.
The largest growing
Oh my
sport in the
gosh.
world.
Yes,
Crazy.
it's the
I
rage.
mean, everywhere. It's insane.
It's everywhere.
The orthopedic surgeons love it. A lot of hamstring and ankle and knee issues that are coming up. But
There's more health care.
I mean, think about it. When we were young and our grandparents or great-grandparents are retired, they weren't out exercising and playing pickleball. The 70 is the new 40 almost.
That's
Right.
true.
And I think people are so active in retirement that it's important you have your plan for your finances, but you also want to have a plan for your hobbies and your loves.
Plan.
Yes, it's all about planning.
Always.
Well, gentlemen, we have only about a minute and a half left of the show, and I would love to spend some time really talking about what the Maine Money Report is. Jordan, take your time with this one.
Yeah, no, it's important. We looked at all the aspects of a financial plan, and we thought, what were the 4 crucial ones that we could help people, the viewers, come in for a couple meetings and really dive into those little areas. And we use that analogy ripped in here. The first one is to make sure that your portfolio, as Adam used, is driving the miles per hour that you want. If you're a fast driver, well, make sure your portfolio is driving fast and taking on more risk. Most people want to get a little slower in retirement. The second section, and is probably the most compelling, is the income section. We ask people, what do you think you can get in income in your portfolio right now if you retired? And they'll give us a number. And we'll do an analysis, and we can show them by getting a little more efficient, we usually can get significantly more than that.
Right.
Number 3, the P, the portfolio analysis. It's so important to make sure that your portfolio is healthy, right? Go to the doctor,
Healthy.
get a checkup. We use Morningstar for that.
Yep.
And then lastly, Uncle Sam, let's make sure that they're not taking too much of your retirement.
Jordan, thank you. Adam, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, thank you for watching today. For the Maine Money Report, call in 888-462-7839. We'll see you next week.